It was 102 degrees outside. I remember that number clearly, because the digital sign at the neighborhood entrance had just flashed it when I pulled out of my driveway with a cooler full of water bottles. I wasn't selling them. I wasn't making a statement. I was just handing out cold water to construction workers, guys, who'd been laboring under the sun for days while the HOA ignored their request for shade breaks. And that's when the letter came. It was folded into a stiff white envelope with the same passive-aggressive seal every HOA notice uses, that smug little emblem of authority pretending to be polite. 75 fine for unapproved distribution of materials. I laughed at first. I genuinely thought it was a mistake. I mean, it's water. It's hydration. But when I called them, the voice on the other end of the line wasn't laughing. Ma'am, you didn't submit a community outreach permit. A permit to hand out water. I tried explaining. I told them it was my personal time, my personal money, and I wasn't asking anyone for anything. Just being decent. Their response? If you want to avoid further fines, cease immediately. So I did the opposite. I bought more coolers. I got one of those wagons you pull at tailgates. My 10-year-old helped me print out little cards that said, "Stay cool from your neighbors." And I doubled my route. That's when things got ugly. Security cam footage shows one of the HOA board members, Mr. Lowell, marching down my driveway with a clipboard like he was delivering a cease and desist to a mafia boss. I was baking cookies with my kid when he knocked. "Consider this your final warning." His voice cracked. He was nervous. I could feel it. Like he knew he wasn't just being ridiculous. He was being watched. And oh, he was. Because what he didn't know was that my little water project, it had quietly turned into something else. Something much bigger. A week later, I got another envelope. This one wasn't folded. It was thick, stapled, formal. Notice of non-compliance. Escalation, 300 fine plus. Potential suspension of community privileges. They were threatening to block me from the community center and the pool. All because I was handing out water to workers. And this time, they didn't just send the letter. They posted it on the HOA's internal portal for the entire neighborhood to see. They wanted to shame me. Make an example, only it backfired. I started getting DMs from neighbors. One after another. "Wait, what did you do? They fined you for hydrating people? This board is completely out of control." The post had over 100 comments in a day. So I took screenshots. I printed the letters, and I went door to door. Not with water this time, but with the receipts. Some people were shocked. Others weren't. Turns out this wasn't their first abuse of power. One neighbor got fined $150 for having a pride flag. Another got cited for excessive garage clutter, even though their garage door was closed. We started talking, then organizing. It wasn't just about water anymore. It was about control, and how a handful of people had weaponized rules to bully a neighborhood into silence. At first they ignored us. Then, they started getting nervous. Emails from the board suddenly became way more polite. They started using phrases like community dialogue and open to feedback. But behind the scenes, I caught wind of what was really happening. The board president's husband? He started spreading rumors that I was using the water project as a political stunt, that I was trying to sow division. I found out when my daughter came home upset. One of the board members' kids told her, "Your mom's getting in trouble because she's a liar." That was it. No more quiet resistance. We launched a petition, a real one, to trigger a special recall vote. And we didn't just get signatures. We got stories. People brought out photos, letters, logs of intimidation. One woman even had a recording of a board member saying, "You'll never win. Nobody votes anyway." Oh, but this time, they would. The HOA tried to block it. They claimed our petition was procedurally incomplete. We showed up with a lawyer, pro bono, a neighbor's cousin, and we forced a date for the meeting. July 12th, Community Center, 7 p.m. They limited our time to speak. So we brought signs, posters, printed emails, and stories from people too scared to speak out loud. Over 200 people showed up. The room was standing room only. Lowell, clipboard guy, tried to spin it. He said, "We're simply enforcing the rules laid out in the covenant you all agreed to." But I got up and asked just one question. "Where in the covenant does it say water is contraband?" The room went silent. Then someone clapped. Then 5 people. Then 20. Then the whole damn room. We needed 151 votes to recall the board. We got 190. Out of 231 eligible homeowners. A record. 5 board members removed. Replaced with people who actually live in the neighborhood. Not just power trip over it. Lowell resigned before the results were even official. He left a passive-aggressive goodbye post on the portal. Said we'd regret the chaos. Instead, we threw a block party. With water. And popsicles. And slip and slides. And guess what? Nobody asked for a permit. The new board rewrote half the bylaws. They added a kindness clause. I'm serious. It literally says, No fine shall be issued for acts of goodwill or neighborly care. I cried when I read it. They refunded my fines. They issued a public apology, and they officially recognized the workers. I gave water too, with a community appreciation day. Every summer now we run a hydration drive. Kids help, seniors pitch in, and every cooler I roll down the sidewalk, I remember what one clipboard-toting tyrant tried to do, and how 190 of us decided, not here, not anymore. A few weeks after the vote, I got a knock on the door. Not from a board member, from one of the construction workers. The same guy I first handed water to that day in the heat. He handed me a folded paper, looked nervous. It was a thank you card. Inside it said, "You didn't just give us water. You gave us respect, and you gave your neighborhood a voice." I still keep it on my fridge, because it wasn't about the fine, or the rules, or even the HOA. It was about the moment a community remembered it had power. Not the kind that hides behind clipboards and legalese, but the kind that stands up when something's wrong. That claps in a silent room. That votes when it's easier not to. That hands out water when someone's sweating through their shirt on a 102-degree pavement. So yeah, they fined me for handing out water. But in the end, they lost everything. Because kindness doesn't need a permit. And decency? That's what really runs a neighborhood.